The Ossiarch Bone Reapers and the Soulblight Gravelords are up for pre-order this weekend, and so GW are filling us with a plethora of teasers about what we can expect. And today we got to see a few rules and abilities for the upcoming vampires and their undead thralls. And this book does seem to lean into the more Hero Hammer style mechanics from what I've seen, which, to be fair, does fit the Soulblight lore. They are the sort of vampire heroes and lords and characters leading their mindless undead minions. So the focus of the power of the book and the exciting stuff in the book should really be these cool, awesome heroes and their mechanics. So there are a few unique abilities and rules that the powerful vampires and the other heroes and lords of the book seem to have access to and help them really dominate on the battlefield. The hunger has been updated from doing a, let's be honest, relatively measly amount of healing before to being much more of a powerful tool. It can potentially now let you heal up to 6 wounds on a unit depending on how many wounds you do to an enemy. So, if you attack an enemy and do 6 wounds to them, that will be 6 wounds healed on your vampire or your vampire lord or whatever else has the hunger. So this can very easily bring even things like your bigger vampire lords on zombie dragons up to a good amount of wounds back. And according to the article, things like the Vargeists and the Vargskirs also now benefit from this, which really does add a lot to their war scrolls because they've always been somewhat flimsy before and kind of not had the staying power to really make them worthwhile. This now sounds like they are going to be able to stick around a lot longer with this healing and just be a pain in your enemy's side all game long. Following on the Hero Hammer trend, the major dynasties, which are your sub-factions in this book, also now each come with a unique heroic action or monstrous rampage for your characters and monsters to do to really play up how they are the key linchpins in your forces. And they show off the Aventuri Eye monstrous action, which is Maddening Hunger. And this allows you to roll a dice for up to D3 enemy units within 1 inch. And if that roll is greater than the enemy's wound characteristic, it just straight up dies. So enemy models with 1 or 2 or arguably even 3 wounds are going to be extremely good targets for this monstrous rampage. The ability to just straight up delete 3 Chaos Warriors by rolling a 3+, or 3 Chaos Knights potentially. You need to roll 4 pluses for that, but it's still entirely reasonable if you manage to roll 3 on the D3 to kill off 1 or 2 Chaos Knights before the combat even begins, so it's still well worth it, I think. It looks to be a really good step, this ability alone, towards making the Aventuri Eye a workable, worth-taking dynasty again, which at the moment, they're kind of one of the weaker ones that doesn't see much play, so this is a really good ability, a really good step in my opinion. The Legion of Blood heroic action, Premeditated Bloodshed, is equally cool and equally as good. It lets your vampire hero, for the rest of the turn, ignore all ward saves for their attacks. So with, again, something like a lord on a zombie dragon, that is a heck of a lot of attacks, which will probably be chewing through most, if not all, of enemy armor, and then just flat out ignoring any backup ward saves that they may have. So against other death factions, the Lumineth, most enemy heroes and named characters which have a ward save or in some cases rely on their ward save, this is going to be absolutely brutal and just make killing vast swathes of enemy characters and heroes and lords and units almost trivial for your souped up combat vampires. One of the things I'm most excited about that they talk about in this article is we got some new news about the lore of the vampires and the lore of the death mages, and before they had a mechanic in the book where on an unmodified cast roll of 9+, the spell effect would proc twice, which was great some of the time and on some spells, but some spells really didn't benefit from that or they couldn't even take advantage of it, so sometimes it just felt like a useless ability, and when you rolled that 9+, it was, you know, almost like a kick in the teeth because you just kind of couldn't do anything with it. This is being changed in the new book, and each spell has its own unique proc effect for when you roll those 9s to cast. So, for example, the one they show off today, the Prison of Grief is a 12-inch range spell with a casting value of 6, and it gives an enemy unit until your next hero phase the Strike Last effect. So this already is a really cool, powerful ability. Giving Strike Last to an enemy unit is really strong, especially when it works all the way to your next hero phase. But if you roll a 9+ on your casting roll, the range on it is extended from 12 inches to 24 inches. So you can now reach out twice as far with this ability, and maybe instead of targeting the unit that's right in front of you, target an enemy unit that thought it was safe from this kind of ability, that is in the middle, of a critical combat with, your Graveguard, a key unit that is going to decide the fate of the battle, and now they are just going to get absolutely decimated by your attacks before they can even swing. And I think this is just going to be really, really cool. Each spell getting a unique effect and a unique bonus from rolling those 9+ to cast, I just think is so much more fun and arguably fluffier too, rather than just a spell going off twice. I think it adds a really interesting mechanic to the casting of vampires, which is meant to be one of their main strengths. So this is a super solid win in my book, and I really cannot wait to see what the other spells from the two lores get for their bonus effects. The final thing they showed off in today's article is for Big Papa Nagash himself. He's always been in a bit of a sore spot. He still isn't great. His war scroll has already leaked over the internet and he is 965 points. He is still too pricey for what he does, to be honest. But there are some cool things to consider on his war scroll, and one of the things they show off today is his Armour of Morocane. This used to give him a 4-up ward against mortal wounds only, and a minor mortal wound reflectability, where if he rolled a 6 for his save, it would do a mortal wound back on the unit that had damaged him. It is now much, much better. It just gives him a flat 5-up ward against everything, and crucially, it also puts out a 12-inch bubble around him, giving all of your death units within it a 5-up ward as well. And this, considering Nagash's big base, can actually cover a huge amount of your army, and a 6-up ward, which all death units have like natively, going to a 5-up makes them twice as likely to pass their ward save. So this really can give a massive boost to the durability of your army. The only issue, of course, is that Nagash, being nearly 1,000 points, is most of your army. You don't really tend to have much else in your list that will benefit from this, that you can give this aura out to. So it's a good ability, and as I said, there are some cool things on Nagash's updated war scroll, but just in general, he isn't worth it, and this new and improved Armour of Morocane doesn't quite save Nagash from the bench warming spot that I think he's going to have even in the new Death Battle tomes, where he is better than he was, I think. He's just still not quite there yet. So that is going to be it for today. There is some very cool, very unique, very fluffy abilities coming for the armies of the Soulblight Gravelords. But what do you make of them? And which dynasty are you most excited to see and try out in the new book? Let me know down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later guys.